Anil, in the last year, there's been an enormous amount of focus on talent management, particularly in Asia. Why do you think that is? And do you find this particular issue on talent management a challenge within your own organization?
So I think talent management truly is something which is across all organizations, whether it is a shared services organization or it is, in the retained part of the organization. And it is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. And I say that because when we look at talent development, we look at in terms of how we can pick up talent and develop a path for them so that they can develop with the organization. And as the organization matures, people, get to have newer experiences and they are able to enrich their job function. So really the opportunity here is to see one from a shared services perspective, how you can move the people up the value chain. So, they would initially join in transactional kind of services, but then move on to more value added services. It could be something on, I would say, data analytics. It could be related to financial analysis and planning, more from a finance perspective. The other piece is really looking at, I would say, more from a cultural perspective, opportunities of people moving across various geographies. So that again becomes, a big opportunity to move talent across geographies. And I think to that extent, it's important to have an integrated view of not just, the growth strategy, which is within the particular region, but from a global perspective. And then how can you leverage your talent across that?
Also, this year, more than ever, there are more people wanting to talk about the customer within the shared services industry. Can you give us your thoughts about this?
So really more from a customer perspective, I think there are two parts of it. One is looking at customers which are our internal customers. And when I talk of internal customers, because we are a part of shared services organization, we have customers internally within the organization. And then you have customers which are external customers, and it's important to have a 360-degree view of not just your customers but also your business partners. And one of the things that we've tried to do at Pfizer is to look at customers as trusted and integral partners. So the opportunity there is more of saying, okay, you're not our customer but you're our business partner. And the reason we say that is because we feel that the customers also have an equally important role to play in the success of a shared service. And hence, it's important to engage with them, understand what their needs are, and then build a solution which kind of meets their requirements and at the same time gives an opportunity of bringing about standardization, optimization, and saving in costs.
Anil, one of the key themes of this year's event is creating an agile operational structure. How has your firm done this, and can you give us some thoughts about this?
So more from a Pfizer perspective, when we really look at having a very agile operational structure, I think what we've tried to do is make sure that we kind of have the opportunity to flex up and flex down as needs are for the organization. And I would say more from a company's perspective, over the last few years we've had opportunities where we've acquired businesses, and now we are in a stage where we are divesting a business which is getting listed as a separate company. So as we continue to grow, or depending on the case where we kind of do a divestiture, there's an opportunity to cut down, and that's where I think it's important to have that agility. One of the things that we've tried to do is create more like a an organization which is a project based organization, which mainly looks after all the project management part of it, and that's something which we can scale up and scale down through project resources. The other thing is more from a, I would say, outsourcing perspective, tying up with BPO partners and other organizations where you can scale up and scale down. So it's a combination of, I would say, outsourcing, project resources through the big four consulting firms.
Data continues to be a key theme among shared services professionals. In your own organization, Anil, how do you use data to your advantage?
Data really has two parts of it. One is really more from a, I would say, from a organizational perspective. There's one part of data which is really something which is very confidential, which has the IP, and that is something which you need to make sure that you need to guard. So it's very important, I would say, from a not just from a Pfizer perspective, but I would say from a whole industry perspective to protect your data, and data protection to that extent becomes, a huge important factor in our model. But as we see more and more collaboration is coming up, you need to have opportunities where you can collaborate, where you can do certain cloud-based technology, whereby the cost of managing that data actually comes down. So I would say it's a combination of looking at both, and you have to kind of draw, I would say, a balance between the two. You want to protect your data and make it more, I would say, difficult to access, but at the same time, you want to give that access to people to have more cloud-based kind of technology. So we've tried to do a combination of that. Obviously, it's a journey. It's not something that you can do overnight. But really, the focus here is to look at more and more opportunities of moving to cloud-based systems, and also look at, I would say, IT systems which can be used globally, so that you have all the data within one single source. So I would say more from an ERP perspective, we've actually implemented a global SAP deployment across Pfizer, and that's something which we've been trying to work on. And then we are also moving to other cloud-based technologies.
It's always a balancing act. I understand what's cloud-based.
Yes, certainly. I mean, it's right. I mean, it is tough at the I would say from an implementation point of view, but certainly when you look at it from a global perspective, because the world is changing. I think the other piece that I didn't talk about from a data is more from a social media perspective, and we know that social media again plays a big part, and that's something which obviously we are trying to explore, because shared services as an organization continues to grow. Social media is an important part of that I would say equation, but right now it's more, I would say, from a perspective of creating our more internal web-based applications where you can have more networking internally. So most of the social media piece that we are really looking at is more from an internal perspective right now, but who knows, down the road it could be external as well.